Hello everybody and welcome back to Operation Logistics, where we need to do a couple of things. First off, the origination point prefab is way too big. It's that size, so that's no good. Now let's go ahead and check what our scale is, because it's the right size for a world hex. So let's go ahead and check our scale for our biome hexes, which is 0.01. No, 0.1.1.1. Okay. 0.1, 0.1, and 0.1. That is still very much too big. So let's bring it down by another 10 times and see if that's too big. Well, it's not at the correct position. There we go. That's about right. 0.025. Yeah, that's correct right there. The line renderer is a bit messed up, but we're going to go ahead and apply this to the prefab for right now. And we're going to do the same thing here. So 0, 0.25, 0, 0.01, 0.01, and 0.01. And we're going to need to mess a bit with the line renderer. So her width is definitely too wide. 0.1 is still too wide. 0.01, that's more like it. Okay, so we do need to raise up our positions here a little bit. So I want to bring this up. 1 is too much, so I think 0.5, 0.5, and 0.5 is correct. Now I don't actually want this to be billboarding, so let's go ahead and do transform Z alignment. Where did it go? I guess that's not an option. We'll do view alignment then. I mean, we're going to be mostly looking at it from up above, right? So it's probably not the end of the world. There we go. Sheesh. Okay. So we are in local, right? Or are we in global? In terms of our positions. We're in local. That's not necessarily what we want, but for right now, that'll do. And it looks like this width is about correct. There's a couple of things that I would like to do here. First off, there's this little hitch over here that I don't like. And I'm wondering where that's coming from. Texture mode is repeat per segment. I'm not going to do distribute per segment. There is stretch, which isn't necessarily what we're looking for either. And then there's that, which actually isn't awful. Go into perspective mode here. I actually don't hate that. And ultimately, we're going to be getting the positions of the tiles themselves, and then transforming them probably into local space when we do this. And then that will indicate the positions, and we'll be populating that via code. Probably in world space. Maybe we don't want lighting data? No. We want lighting data. I think 0.51, we want it to be slightly above everything else. Kind of like that-ish. Kind of like that-ish. Now the next question is, can we put a collider on the line renderer? Let's find out. Unity collider line renderer. Can we do it? You cannot retrieve the vectors, blah 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 blah. Once they're set, they're not. That I don't think that's true anymore. I I mean, essentially what this is saying is you would, for each segment here, you'd create a box collider. So you'd do a box collider here, and then the box collider would essentially be not here, and in fact, we already have one here, but it should be not here, but rather here. So basically halfway between position 0 and position 1. So the center would be at 0.51, but also at 0.75z. And then we'd want the size to be this 0.01, which I think at this scale is 0.1. 0.1 on the y-axis is perfectly fine. Okay. Come on. Come on. Come on. Okay. 0.1 is not quite right. 0.25. 0.33. I think that's a little too wide. It's kind of hard to see here. Can't quite tell, and we can't... There we go. Now we can zoom in. 0.33 actually seems to be about right. And then the X size of this would be... is 0? Or no, the Z size would be essentially 1.5. Like that. And then you just put in one of those for each segment. Just like that. Okay, that would work. We could put in a... To try to keep it clean, we could put in an empty in here. Transition the line renderer over to the empty. That might be a possibility. Now, one question that I have is, are we storing... we've got our list vector 3 path. We can maybe determine where our path ends by the position of the waypoint. So if it equals the waypoint, then we can determine that it goes to the next waypoint. Yeah, that would be doable. And then we'd want to, when we update the path, we would want to add a component when we do this. Essentially. And we'd want to add a component here as well, type of box collider. So game object dot add component, and actually we'll want to access this. Box collider col equals game object dot add component of type box collider, like that. Okay. So we will go ahead and copy that and paste that there for now, and that just adds the collider. And essentially, that's not going to do anything as it sits right now. That is not going to do what we want. We also want our start and end positions of our line renderer to be added here. So do we have that? We don't currently. Okay. This is a list of vector 3 of waypoints. Do we want that to be a script? I think we do. We're going to need a list waypoint of waypoints, which means we're going to need a new C# script entitled waypoint. Now, is the origination point going to have a waypoint? I believe so. There's a compile error. Where is... Oh, right. Because this is expecting a vector 3. Okay. We'll put this back to where it was with the vector 3, and we will call this... We'll go ahead and rename this to waypoint positions. Ah, no, no, no. No, no, no. Rename. Waypoint positions. See, I don't like this. No. No, I'm bringing this back to waypoints, and we're going to do .transform.position here. I think this is cleaner. .transform.position. Okay. Same thing here. .transform.position. And .transform.position. Okay. There we go. Now, the waypoint will need to know about its line renderer, but we need to let this compile. Excellent. We'll go ahead and toss a waypoint onto the origination point and apply that to the prefab. And we'll need to toss it onto waypoint as well. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. So first things first, we are going to need to have a public line renderer LR. We are going to need to have a public list of box collider, and we'll call this colliders. Okay, and then we'll need a public void update line. And we're going to want to pass in a list of vector 3s, and we'll call that line. Okay. So, essentially, what we need to do here is what we were doing in here. We've got our full-on path. I don't think we need this anymore. But we should go ahead and say waypoints I dot update line with partial path. Like that. In the retread path, we will need to do that as well with waypoints dot count -1. Dot update line retread path, and this needs to be waypoints. This needs to be waypoint, with this being the index. There we go. Waypoints count -1 dot update line of the retread path. Okay, so there we go. And we can color the line based on what hex or what route we have selected. So that would be easy enough to do. But let's just go ahead and implement this update line real quick here. So our line renderer positions is essentially going to be our line. So for each vector3 v3 in line, we're going to say lr dot set position. That sets the index. We want to set our number of positions, but can we set this from here? We can just do that. We can do lr dot set positions, and then we want to pass in line dot to array. Like that. That will set all of the positions at once. Then we still want to iterate through our list. So we'll for each vector3 v3 in line. We still want to iterate through because we're going to need, actually we don't want to for each this though. We want to do this the same way we did here, because we want to know for sure that we have a waypoint of I-1. So let's go ahead and do this. I did not mean to hit Control C there. Control C and Control V. Waypoints.count. Now this is of course going to be line.count. And then we want to add a box collider. So box collider col equals, and then game object, not capital, dot add component of type box collider. There we go. And then we want to set the box collider position and extents according to I and I minus 1. Right? Well, it really needs to be I plus 1. So I equals 0, I is less than line.count minus 1. We'll have to do the last one differently. But I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here, and next episode we will finish updating our line. See you all then.